That's always good for a giggle, isn't
Makes me
That,
laugh
that
every
that
time.
last couple of seconds is the best part of the whole video.
it? Okay, Carl's trying to get in here now, guys. Here he is. Carl's here now, so we're going
Come
to.
on in, Richard.
Anyway, good evening, Antique Tractor Pullers. Great show lined up. Olin's got some good guests here from the West Coast, here locally. And I'm just going to step aside. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm going to let them boys do all the talking and have at it. So, Mr. Olin, Mr. Richard.
All right. We do have a very interesting lineup covering a lot of the states right now, large area of the country. We have my co-host here, Richard McIntyre. And Richard, you always like to lead off. Go ahead, Wilbur.
Oh, fantastic.
He's just getting over sore throat. Let's see how long it lasts.
So, we'll go across the top first. We have L.W. Foster from down there in Virginia. Going to tell us all about, guess he finally got his first pull under his belt. So,
Scalio, Tri-State.
looking forward to hear all that. Skeeter's right on time.
And we have hard questions we have him to answer, too.
That's true. Kind of. He
Sort
still
of.
thinks SATs are a good thing, so that's debatable.
But
We have Matt Stauffer going to be,
from perspective, is it, Matt?
well,
Works
you know,
for me.
Well,
he also gets to cover PA.
he covers a lot.
Thankfully, I can't see the comments.
I can't read them at all. I can barely see the people on this one.
Okay. Real quick. Let me jump in here. Sorry, guys.
Oh, man.
Matt, you sent a link for the puller just recently got killed. I would like to go ahead and run that across the bottom of the screen. If you want to go ahead and take a second, I know it's jumping ahead of your schedule, and say something about that, so I can go ahead and put that scroller across.
That is pretty severe right there. We'll stop for that like emergency notice right there.
Yeah. If you want to go ahead and
go ahead,
give us a little update on that, and I'll put the scroller on the bottom of the screen for the show.
Okay. Guess we're going to start off on a somber note here. Within the last week, there was a puller up in the Williamsport, Pennsylvania area by the name of Evan Geiswhite, 29 years old. He and his wife were driving down the highway. Someone crossed over the line, hit him head on. He lost his life. She survived, and they have a 3-year-old son. So she's now a widow with a 3-year-old son. So as a pooling family, I mean, we always talk about being family. So just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. There is a GoFundMe out there that I think is being shared now, and it was a pretty lofty goal. It's been less than a week. They were trying to raise $50,000. I think they're already up to like 45. And if you look at the link, they have information in there. If you want to donate through their local church, you get to bypass the GoFundMe fee. I probably saw him. I did not know Evan. You know, I'm at the age now where you have to talk to me like 3 or 4 times before I remember who you are. But talking to some of the guys up there in Northern PA, he and his father were regulars at Annisfort, which is, you know, in between Williamsport and Jersey Shore up there. There's a picture that may get shown later of him with a trophy with his Farm All H. I saw some other pictures where his tractor was parked next to the Iron Bull of Mr. Brown up there, Terry Brown. I was also seeing pictures of him with the Coltons. So I think he was, you know, fairly regular puller, young puller up in that area, and it's just a tragic circumstances that we lost him. So we kind of want to pull together and support the family as best we can. I asked and put some feelers out that, you know, that Annisford or whoever up there, if they decide to do a benefit or memorial pool, let me know, and then I'll pass that along to this group and get the word out. So sorry to start off with tragic news, but you know, just try to keep him and his family in your thoughts.
Yeah. Again, this scroller does have that. It's hard to read all that, but I will post that entire link after the show in the comments section, and I also have it over in the current live comments section now. So, but after the show, I'll go in on YouTube and put the link in so they can just click on it and go donate. So,
right. Appreciate that, JR.
No problem.
All right. We are very much pro take care of the puller on the show. and any way we can take care of pullers, we reach out. Noah White project is going good. Next month, I hope to do a follow up with him, with JJ and Carl. Richard, you ready to finish introducing our guest?
I think I am. I think I got enough voice left for that. Justin, I'm gonna let you say your own last name because I'm not butchering that. But we have
Washington State, Justin.
we have from Washington State we have Justin, and from what I hear, it sounds like Oregon. We have Mr. Zack Peterson that if nobody knows is put out some very interesting. Some would call it the tractor pulling Bible of study notes. Yeah, there you go. So that should make for some very interesting conversation this evening.
Actually, it's such a big subject. It's like who's who has a copy. It's pretty prestigious just to have a copy.
I got pictures of the copy. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Well,
We're hoping to have Carl.
There's a picture of the copy right there.
Yep.
We're hoping to have Karl Davis on here
From Canandaigua, New York.
He just popped back in. He might be having internet trouble.
Okay, he'll get through it. They got a big bracket pull coming up, 2-day pull and a dual bracket pull coming up.
There he is.
We're going to discuss. What order do you want to go in today, Richard? We'll go to the Little Green Book.
Well, I mean, I'm always game to talk about the Little Green Book.
All right, Zach. We're mostly interested in the Little Green Book. It's been I have mine. I wouldn't.
You wouldn't break nothing, but it's okay.
All right, we're back to you.
Kind of.
Kinda.
Working without a net here.
Yep.
Hey, look. You know what? We'll get through it. Hush.
It's all good. It's all good.
We're on a backup to a backup to a backup plan. Hush.
I always travel with mine.
Yeah.
When I go tractor pulling, keep it in the truck all the time. It's probably, I think it's the only book we have. We'd like to know what you've been up to, Zach, over the years, what you see in the future. Tell us about Oregon State pulling. We're going to be questioning Justin about Washington State pulling. We don't have a clue. Apparently, we didn't know the preferred theme was a bunch of beavers out there. So we'll learn. Just talk to us. Richard missed out on the beaver subject.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. So I'm out here in Beaver Country in Corvallis, Oregon. And yes, you had alluded to the Green Book, which is the Antique Tractor Bull Guide to Ground Speeds. And I had 3 books that I had published starting in 2009 and had reprints over the years. The first one was a how-to guide. The second one was the Green Book, which is the ground speeds. And the third one was the Yellow Book, which is the gearing guide, right? And so these books were formulated in mind for people to get into tractor pulling and learn how to do it. And for those who wanted to take the next step and learn advanced techniques or improve their on-track performances and so forth. And I used to get lots of questions and so forth, and I started writing some stuff down. I formulated it into books. The gearing and the ground speeds, that was extensive research to find. I mean, everything is calculated, gear tooth counts and all that stuff. It's a fantastic book. And it really, when you're looking at tractors on the track, you can gauge kind of what people have done and what gearing, people have. And you can use it in your back pocket if you want to, if you have to figure out what you're going to do, what gear you're going to go in this class or what RPM you got to be at. And it's just a really helpful guide. And there are more copies coming on the way. So in the last several years, I've been really busy. I'm a single father. I take care of 2 kids a lot. They're getting bigger now. Believe it or not, they're 12 and 14. And I have a teen daughter, so that's pretty awesome. And anyways, so, but here in the state of Oregon, we used to have 3 tractor pulling groups. We're kind of a condensed state where the bulk of the population is in the Willamette Valley, where I live. And the Willamette Valley is where 60% of the world's grass seed comes from. So if you plant a lawn, like you go down to the Home Depot and get a bag of seed, chances are it came from this valley. So we've had lots of different types of farming around here, and lots of different tractors. And we got big tractors and little tractors and all sorts of stuff. And we had a huge following of tractor pulling. We had the Oregon Tractor Pullers, which is the club that I'm affiliated with, was formed in 1994. So it's an older club. And in the last several years, we've had a change in tractor pulling around here because things became expensive, right? Sled rentals went up, and events were sort of waning, and we're trying different techniques and things we could do to get pulling revived and get pullers back to the track. And the other two clubs that were in our area, they folded. They couldn't survive. And so now what we've done in the last several years is we bought our own sled, right, to try and control our own costs. And we added things like garden tractor pulling and other events like that, so that we can get more hooks in and get kids captured in to start driving and start pulling and start setting up their little tractors until they get big enough to drive the big stuff, right? And then we took it a step further. So, the club was formed in 1994, and we always thought we were a nonprofit and so forth. Well, we decided to revamp everything this past year, and we rebranded. We're now the Tractor Pullers of Oregon, and we're a 501c3 nonprofit. And that has really, really helped leaps and bounds in terms of getting sponsorships, right? You walk into any sponsor, you start talking to sponsors and talking to people, and you can gain support much easier if you're a nonprofit status. We've noticed that far and away is fantastic, right? But we took it a step further even from there, in that we have the idea that our club is not just a tractor pulling club, but that we're a community entity now, right? We want a bigger footprint than just the track. And so we do other events, like, for example, last weekend, Justin was there. We did a tractor display in front of a farm store up in Salem, Oregon, and partnered with the farm store. They had a sale going that weekend. We set up a huge display of antique tractors and pulling tractors and so forth. Talked to people going in and out of the store. They're one of our sponsors. So we show up on site. We have all of our tractors there. We have a community presence without having an event, right? Without even having our own tractor pull. Now our club has exposure, right? And we have another one coming up at another farm store this next weekend. The other thing that we've done is instituted a scholarship fund. And that scholarship fund is awarded to somebody who's, in ag mechanics or maybe automotive mechanics every year. And another tool to reach out into the community. And some of these sponsors, they look at stuff like that and they say, okay, this is where my dollars are flowing through to, right? And then the other thing is we have a community fund. So if there are certain things or charitable causes that we want to do in the community, I don't know if you guys heard, but a few years ago, we had a horrible canyon fire in Detroit, Oregon, Detroit Lake. We get a lot of weird winds, but in the summertime, we can get winds that blow from east to west, and they're very dry, hot winds. And we had this really bad fire that burned a couple of towns to the ground. And so we were able to go in and offer, gift cards and things that people could use to buy clothing at farm stores, or like buy gas for their vehicles and things like that. And again, those are the types of things that sponsors look at, and the wider footprint that we can gain in the community, we found that seems to be the better way to support the club. And so now we fast forward a few years of doing all these things, and our club seems to be flourishing in terms of, our financial stability, and in terms of our ability to put on events. And so now that we have our own sled, we're going to places to do things. We have a home base to pull, right? Which is fantastic. And we host events there every year and so forth. But now we found that we're going to county fairs, and we're going to harvest festivals and things like that. We just had we just inked a harvest festival that we're going to be doing in September this year. And so they're sort of a package deal where we can go in and we can do our pulling and showcase everything, and we get paid to do it. So it's the idea of perpetuating pulling in our area, doing it in a financially responsible way, and being a presence in the community that gives us that footprint. Because now when people talk about us, it may not be just, oh, I saw you guys driving on the freeway with tractors. It's, oh, I remember you guys because you were in town with this big display. That's awesome. Where can I find you? You know, and
That's very progressive.
yeah, it's taken a lot of work and a lot of time over the years to do this.
How many members you got?
We still have less than 100 members in our pulling group, but we put on pretty darn good events. You know, usually somewhere between 75 to 120 hooks at our local events, and then we go and support other tractor pulling. You know, we've got other events that we do up in the state of Washington. Justin is involved with some of that stuff, and we still have strong support.
Well, we're gonna have to come back to you and follow some more of what you're doing out there, and this community outreach area. That's pretty impressive. Let's see what Justin's doing up there in next state north.
Well, we're getting ready for our first pull of the season up here at Mark Valentine's farm again. It'll be next Friday and Saturday at Valentine Farms. Hopefully, if JR's got that poster handy. If not, I can resend him that poster.
Which one? Hold on, I'll check here in just a minute. There's a question.
That whole thing up here next week. That's off the season here in the Northwest for not only Washington but also Oregon, because there's not much. There's usually more action in Washington than there is in Oregon for Zach to find. So Zach pretty much, and another member comes up from Oregon, Jack Mearhead from Albany. He and Zach pretty much tag team and come up to Washington every once in a while and play with us up here. But it starts the season off here. We always have a damn good time over at Mark Valentine's. And if you guys have never talked to Mark Valentine or know him, he is one of the most kindest persons anywhere in the U.S. when it comes to tractor pulling. He is willing to do anything and everything to help the younger generations, the older folks learn how to do this stuff, and he builds amazing pulling tractors. I mean, Zach can testify. I mean, his last two machines that he's built, his 53 Golden Jubilee Ford and his 1948 Ford 8N Funk with a 300 Ford under the hood, it is a monster of a tractor.
They're impressive. I've seen them.
Yes, and he's gone back east every winter and he's pulled against you guys, some of you guys at White Pine or at Tunica or at Oak Grove, even at Oklahoma. And he basically puts on this pull at his farm to start the season off. And then at the end of the season, around late September, early October, is when we have our big pull. It's a 3-day pull, and it's at the Northwest Fall Nationals in Moses Lake, Washington. And it's our only indoor pull we have that I try to put out invitations and feelers out to some of you guys to load your stuff up and come on out west and play with us for 3 days. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Matt. You need to come out west with your Oliver.
Well, I know I've seen your odometer of your truck on about the road miles you've done. I know you're not afraid to make a trip.
I'm actually looking at going to Lincoln, Nebraska here next March to play at the Cornhusker Classic for the NATPA next March is what I'm looking at doing. But I do want to come down to White Pine one year with my tractors, and I will try to bring Mr. Peterson with me. We'll get a trailer together and we'll come out east and play with you guys out there with Mr. Valentine.
Yeah, that's a pretty good ride for you.
It'll basically be about a 4-day hike for us to come out to just at least out to White Pine.
He can drive. I'll fly.
No, you're riding out with me. You're splitting the driving with me.
I'm just kidding.
I think Mr. Matt has a question for you about your pull.
Bertie showed me a flyer that had some kind of tire size handicapping system. Distance handicap, depending on what's tire size. So if you could talk us through that, because that's just a wild idea that caught me by surprise.
So out here in Washington, we are heavily dominated with 15.5 and smaller tire tractors. There's not that many of us that have the ability or the funds to go to the bigger tires. Okay, me and Zach, we're able to hop between both because we've got tractors on both small tire and tire. So, guys, it's participating with the small tires. But the small tire guys, we can't speed them up any faster. But the big tire guys, we can slow them down. So what Mark Valentine has done, based on his calculations, is he's introduced a handicap for our 2 bracket classes and our memorial class that we do every year at Moses Lake. So the way it works, if you are pulling an 18.4 tire against a 15.5 tire tractor in this bracket class,
That'd be a 38,
the
right?
person with the 18, yes,
Yeah, 38.
Yep, 38 tire. Yep, doesn't matter if it's 18.4 38 or 18.4 34. Okay? It's based on the width of the tire. Okay, 18.4 versus 15.5. The 18.4 tire will lose 10 feet off the line with basically with its hook. The 15.5 tire does not lose anything or smaller. Now, if that 18.4 tire is going against a 16.9 tire, that person basically loses 5 feet with the 18.4 tire. Okay. But if they're going 18.4 on 18.4, it's straight across the board. It's straight up. Basically, whatever distance they get, it's what they get. And that goes same thing with the 16.9 on 16.9. Okay. And then the 16.9 versus 15.5, the 16.9 tire loses 5 feet off the line. But if you have a 15.5 or smaller size tire, you don't get docked anything. You're straight across the board.
Matt Stauffer, you got all that figured out?
Yeah, I do. I just, so my question is, have you've done this before? Is that a yes or no?
Let me
Yes,
jump in.
yes, we've done.
So the way it works is we had this memorial class. It originated with this memorial class, right? So we had some pullers who passed away, and a lot of them are 3 mile an hour pullers. And they said, well, we'll make a special memorial class, and it's going to be a 3 mile an hour class. And even at 3 miles an hour, we noticed that the big tires, 18.4s and 16.9s would dominate the class. And so they said, well, we want to keep this at 3 miles an hour, but we're going to equalize this. So now if you're on 18.4s, minus 10 feet every time you hook. If you're on 16.9s, minus 5 feet every time you hook. And that's it. It's actually a pretty simple rule, but you would be surprised at how much that equalizes the field. I've been on both sides of it. I had my 18.4s on in my Massey 101, and trust me, it doesn't like going slow. And I thought I got down to where I wanted to be, and I blew the horn and got some DQ'd one year. I came back the next year and tried to do it again and lost by a few feet after the penalty I had to pay for the 18.4s. And so I ended up coming back with 15.5s, and because every year that trophy, it's a traveling trophy, you get your name on it like the Stanley Cup, right? It's like prestigious, right? And so I wanted to win this trophy. It took me 8 years to win this damn thing. And
So if you get the speed horn, you get a minus 10? No,
yeah,
mind.
No, get the speed horn, you're out.
You're out.
I wish.
And for me last year, I'm the recipient of last year's memorial class winner, but I was running 16.9s, and that's when they introduced this new rule for the 16.9 size tires, because there wasn't that many of us pulling on 16.9s. It was either 13.6, 14.9s, 15.5s, and 18.4s. I started bringing more 16.9 tires out here from out east to the west, because I traded my Oliver 88 for an Oliver 77, and it had a smaller motor, so I didn't have the power to pull 6 and 8 mile an hour anymore. I had the power to pull 4 mile an hour. But our rules out here speculate that I cannot run 18.4 size tires in 4 mile an hour, so I have to run 16.9s. So I put 16.9s on. I entered in this class, and I won this class. But granted, I did win the last hook by a good wide margin over a 55 tire tractor. That's when Mark introduced the rule this season. Gave me a 5 section.
The lovely road of internet.
Yeah, I was in the finals for that one. I wasn't too happy about that.
No.
Yes. nobody that I know of does anything like that. But the interesting thing is, well, the last show we started talking about tires, and I guess we're going to have a tire talk at some point, or a tire show. But there are some clubs that are local to me, and or even we're going to talk about going Saturday where I'm going to be. But and they're 18.4 across the board. Doesn't matter what speed. It's just the way they are. Despite many attempts with the club that's local to me to get them to change, we're not going to change. We're not going to change. So, okay, all right, you're not going to change. But so if I'm on small tire, which I am with my deer almost all the time,
right,
I'll travel 3 hours to run against 15 other guys on small tire than I will go a half hour to run against 5 guys on big tires. Just I want to run competition. So
and it's the same with us, because
so
I want to run. We've got more tractors out here that run 4 mile an hour, and they were on 16.9s out here. So that's why I traded my 88 away, because I was running against pretty much almost the same guys, and it was a crapshoot. They were going at the poll, so I decided, okay, I know people that are going to be at these polls all the time, so I'd rather pull against them on 16.9s.
Yeah. So what's going through my head is, if I get to one of these local pools and say, hey, here's an idea. We don't have to do every class that way, but let's pick a couple classes and try this and just see how it works out and see if they'll go for it. So I appreciate you putting that idea in our head.
If you go, if you ask the gentleman or the crew that's putting on that poll, say, hey, I want to sponsor just a special class. Everyone can get in, but there's a rule to this class. If you have a certain size tire,
right,
that you lose 10 feet or lose X amount of feet depending on what size tire they're running.
What speed is it always
and
done
see how
at?
it equalizes it.
What speed?
It's always done at 3 mile an hour.
Okay.
3.
It's always done at 3, yeah, and it's to protect the stock guys,
Yeah, it would have
or
to,
the top cut guys, I should say.
it would have to be the 16.9s with the bigger tractors. Would just take back over at 6 anyway. They'd make up more than 10 feet.
Interesting. Very much so. We on? I don't hear nothing. Oh, yeah, we're good. All right. Speaking of polls, let's move it around some. Carl still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Carl, we're going to jump to New York State. Talk about pulling up there. What you got coming up next month? I've been there a couple times.
Well,
Always enjoyed it. But tell us, you got 2 days of pulling coming.
Yeah, we got our annual spring flea market and tractor pull coming up the 24th and 25th of May. On the 24th, we have our normal classes. And then on the 25th this year, we have our bracket pull, but this year we're going to try something different. We're going to do a small tire bracket and large tire bracket at the same time. We have 2 separate sleds with 2 tracks side by side. We've had a lot of people ask if we would be interested in doing a small tire bracket, and we didn't want to turn away everyone that travels up here with their big tires. So we're like, well, we got 2 sleds, so let's try it this year, and we'll run a small tire and big tire. So that's on the agenda for this year.
Make sure, let's check the tire sizes real quick. That's 18.4 is big tire, 38. Small tire is 14.9, 15.5, and 16.9, 34, correct?
Yep, correct. Any cut. Same with both classes. 4 mile per hour speed limit at a 4350 pound class for the small tire, and 5 mile per hour at 5750 for big tire.
And all draw bar 1820s?
Yep, 20 high, 18 back.
And no weight allowance, is it? Or is it 50 pounds? I can't remember.
No weight allowance.
And you have a drawing system where everybody, so sign up is when you might as well sign up when you get there, because the drawing's figured out.
Yeah. So we have right now, we've advertised it last year too, a $75 pre-registration. If you send your check in now and reserve your spot, $75, or the day of the poll is $100. Right now, we're looking at like a $1,300 payout for number one, a $500 for number two, and $250 for number three.
On big tire, small tire.
Both.
Okay. And the day before of pulling, isn't there payback that day too?
There is, yep. So the day before, we run our regular 2,800 up to 8,500 pound class. So we have 3 mile an hour, 4 and 6. That's a pay hook as well. I'm trying to pull up my schedule here. They both start at 10 o'clock in the morning. Jeepers, you have to forgive me. I'm not quite ready for tonight.
Well, I will tell you that they work really hard at the pool. They had a big rain last year. They waited for the rain, reworked the track, come back and pull. Then they had another rain. Then they went and bought a whole solid tarp paper for the track, covered the track, and went back to pulling. So they had 2 rain starts in one day, and they got it done that day. But it was kind of getting late.
It was
So
late.
I got to give them credit for the effort that they put in at Canandaigua.
Yeah, we got a good group of people that are working. It takes more than 1 or 2 people. It takes a whole army to make it happen, and we got a good group of people between the ladies at the sign-ups and whatnot, and the people working the track or running the scales. It doesn't matter. Everyone knows what they got to do, and they
Also,
get it done.
Also, Carl, it's antique pulling as well. You have another whole group that's pretty large up there of hot off the farm type tractors.
Yeah, there's a hot farm class that they're running with ESP. Yeah, that's getting to be pretty big as well.
How many tractors running that generally?
I'm not sure what's in there right at the moment.
A dozen or more?
Yeah, there's easily that. They're pretty much what super farm tractors used to be anymore. They've
What's the average age group of them pullers?
Oh, geez, I would say they're mid-30s probably.
So right about my age is where your pullers are at on that hot farm class.
Yeah, for the majority of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, late 20s to mid to early 40s, I would say, is probably the range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that as another group of pullers that's developing over the years, and I think Washingtonville, am I right, Matt, has a pool coming up where they're doing a 4 mile an hour with 12.5 bracket. Am I Washingtonville coming up, Matt?
We got to check his mic here.
Okay.
Yeah, you're muted, Matt. Uh-oh.
Maybe
Maybe.
he'll come back. But yeah, so when you see groups doing a bracket pool with 12.5 tractors, 4 mile an hour, uncut tires off the farm, you start to see that there is another age group of pullers forming, and I think a lot of organizations are going to have to take note of that. If Matt comes back, maybe he'll comment, but
He's moving. He's here. I just don't know if it's.
I can't see Mr. Chrome staying quiet myself.
Yeah, he's on. He's on. We still can't hear you, Matt. We can see you, but we can't hear you.
Having technical difficulties. Well, anyway, Carl, you got some more you wish to tell us about that pool? It's an awful nice pool. I always enjoy going to Canandaigua.
So I don't know if we'll get it, excuse me, on in time, but we got a bunch of clay donated to us this year. So we're looking to put some new clay on the track, and we got new bleachers again. So we're going to move the track down a little bit farther than what it was. And I don't know. The clay, I think the clay will help a lot. then we'll get a crown in the track. So if we do get another rainstorm like we did last year, maybe the water won't pool up on it quite so bad.
Yeah, but I got to give you credit for the effort y'all put in to manage it and move on. Very admirable, and the results did actually happen because of your efforts. You had a lot of good teammates. Um, registration, scraper operators, roller operators, sled operators, scale operators. A really lot of good guys and women up there getting it done.
Yeah.
Got to give them credit.
It takes an army, it really does. So we did do a new scale location. You remember how the scales were on the opposite side of the track from the pits?
Mm-hmm.
Last summer, we moved the scales to the pit side now with a drive on instead of a ramp driving on. It's flat coming on and then ramp off. So that'll make it nice. And then there will be a new sign up booth. No more signing up under the tents. With everything getting more technically involved, we got computers for sign-ups and everything now. So the ladies will have a nice booth to sit in, some air conditioning. They won't be sitting out in the sun all day. So we're making improvements, and people really seem to notice. And there's been more and more people coming from out of state to come up and play on our track. So we're trying to make it more accommodating.
If anybody needs no RV hookup,
anybody can bring their RVs and stay for the whole weekend. And there's water and electric in certain spots. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you coming on, Karl. Anything else you think of, we'll get back to you at the end of the show. Did Mr. Matt get his voice back? No.
He's still gone.
He's still quiet. Mm-mm-mm.
He was just there and disappeared as soon as you asked the question. He was gone.
All right. W. Foster.
Yes, sir.
Sitting there real quiet like, you're down in Virginia.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now we got you.
He wants to cut you off, LW.
Well, now just real quick on that farm track. I call it a farm stock bracket. It is 12,500. I didn't catch the speed.
4.
You can look at it. You said 4. I'm going to believe you there. I do know that they did it last year. I don't know how big a turnout they had. I'm going to see some of those guys, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. So I'll pick their brain on it, and maybe we can get one-on-one next time to talk about it.
Yeah, I see that as a lot of what's coming. A lot of the younger tractor pullers grow up with power steering and turbos. It could very well be another division of antique tractor pulling. Antiques are getting older. Even a 73 is how many years old now? 50?
75 is 50 right now.
75 is 50. So I see there's some realignment coming at some point in time, and any of you can comment on that. But I see it could happen very well in the future, especially with the younger ones liking turbo and smoke. I know emissions might be a problem in some areas, indoors particularly. So we'll see how all that washes out and what pullers do and what clubs do.
I have talked to a couple people that are heavily involved in the diesel side, and it will be kind of tough to regulate it, though. That's the biggest thing they're talking about, your turbos and the safety. As we all know, there was a turbo that came apart in Pennsylvania and it ended up killing a lady.
That's correct. So that's going to be interesting how the regulation comes. Is there going to be a uniform location where tractors want to pull can go to a website and identify their turbo and buy a bolt on a cross bolt? Or is there a universal place where you can buy scatter blankets for turbos? That's going to come, I'm hoping, in development of these classes where some of that's available. Like, now where you can go buy a fiberglass fender. Where you can buy a metal fender. Where you can buy a hub at. Where you can buy a tube at. Where you can buy a clutch at. You get on Facebook and ask a question, you got like 4 answers come to you. So hopefully it's going to get more developed and that answer become more available to put the safety factor in that group of tractors to help it. And I don't know how that's going to happen. Maybe Greg Fisher have me another page of contact numbers. You never know what. Is it Fisher Pfizer?
Pfizer.
Pfizer. Maybe he'll have a contact page of, hey, y'all running turbos, here's your contact page. You never know what he'll come up with, especially with the Chrome advisor.
So just real quick, one thought on that, because I ran into him a couple of weeks ago, Buffalo Valley, youngster. I mean, he's still young. I think he's 23 years old. Guy by the name of Jacob Motes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met him, when I got into antique pulling 6 years ago, he was running the Farm OM, and he was handing me my, backside all the time. Well, a couple of years later, he started pulling one of these. He's got a 1206. I mean, I have a hard time keeping up with its hot farm or this or that, but it's single turbo. I think he runs maybe 8 or 10 mile an hour and runs the 9,500 or whatever. So he'd be a good one to come talk to that if we ever wanted to. But here's a young guy. He was, he started pulling as an FFA kid in antiques, and and then he got the bug saw the smoke and heard the turbo, and he's gone. I mean, he still has his M, but he never brings it out. So.
Yeah, his tractor actually would be like an altered farm or an enhanced farm style tractor.
Yeah, I don't keep up with all that lingo. Maybe I need to
There's
start.
a bunch of classes, but
yeah,
it's not a hot farm, but it's a step.
But if you actually check antiques out between uncut, cut, and full cut, and all the weights and speeds of the division, there's a lot in there too. So we'll see how it all plays out. White Pond, Tennessee, with the FFA pulling. They do a wonderful mix down there of antique already to LLS indoors. So you never know what it takes to survive an antique pulling. All I'm doing is just talking about what it takes to survive for organizations, for groups to survive. That's what I want them to do. But while I talk about groups surviving, the new tri-state pullers. Let's get back to LW.
Yes, sir. We had our first pull back on 2 weeks ago, April the 5th, I think it was. Had a few hiccups getting started, but all in all, we had a great time. Ended up actually putting in 125 hooks for our first go round. Run a benefit memorial pool. Well, not a memorial pool, a benefit pool for Noah White. Raised not a huge amount of money, but we raised some money for that, and had a great turnout, and everything went well. Strong team. A lot of people chipped in and helped out. Big shout out to all of the people that helped and showed up and pulled and everything. It made everything go a lot smoother than what it could have. So it all in all, it was a great time. So
you've had time to talk with your people, and you're starting to relate your next pull plans and stuff.
Yeah, we're starting to get things ironed out. We made a few changes and stuff like that. We've been talking to the location. We're hoping unofficial. We're hoping to have another pull on May the 31st, starting about 3:00 in the afternoon and pulling into the evening. That's unofficial, but we're working on that. Going to get some things ironed out and going to get some newer equipment in there to help out, speed things up.
Well, it's all part of the learning and progress that has to happen at a pull. Congratulations on getting your first one done. You have to start somewhere, and the first one has to happen sometime.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that. You had a nice weather day. I was there, seeing a lot. It was very interesting to watch. Very interesting to be a part of. New environment is always, and it was well treated. So I had a good time there. I want to do a shout out. I did go down to Kev's Field Dream, but got myself a hat. I never thought I'd pull inside of a building it was an adventure. Anybody ever want to go to Kesfield Dream? It was unique. Pulling inside the building with the post going past you and the roof, trusses running over top of your head. That was wild. For me, used to pulling outside, nothing over top of you. That's different. Was treated well out there. Never
I was
pulled
going
out
to
in
say
Indiana
your
before.
exhaust pipe was just about touching them trusses.
I'm tell you what, it was sitting in the driver's seat, seeing that was like, whoa, that was new. So anyway, I want to do a shout out to them guys. They treated me very well. Had never been there before. It was on my bucket list. I want to thank them. Richard's going to go around and have closing remarks. But we have 5 minutes of thing we need to do first before we do closing remarks.
Yeah. I would hope so. Yes.
Okay, let's get that done.
All right. I wanted to go back to something that Zach brought up because I never really thought about it till he mentioned it. And that's, and people cringe. You guys are all going to cringe. The garden tractors, right? We hate to see them there because those guys, Richard's bounties, they're a pain in the ass. We think they're crybabies, whatever. But not only is it a good training ground for the kids that we want to, join our sport, but the financial end of it. Some of these clubs would actually die without the garden tractors. I'm thinking about, we go over to South Jersey there, Olin. We see a bunch of garden tractors there.
Well, you got to remember, South Jersey has a unique set of rules. You cannot pull a tractor till you're 16 holding driver's license.
Correct? Yeah. So that probably plays a big part of it. But then this pool I'm going to talk about in a minute, this Potomac Shenandoah Club, they have more garden tractor pullers, I think, than they do antiques. Or just as many. So that helps you pay for insurance. It helps you pay for the venue. It helps you pay for maintenance.
Did you ever go to Fawn Grove when all the garden tractors showed up?
No, I've been there, but not when they were there.
Oh, my God. Oh, so, I never thought I'd seen so many garden tractors full until I went to Fawn Grove one time. Huh.
It probably adds a level of complication from the club perspective as far as organization goes and who does what to who and all that. But it could actually keep the club alive. So I just wanted to throw that out there, re-emphasize that.
Well, and a lot of places do share tracks with garden tractors. And so, yes, recognize them as future pullers and co-pullers in a different sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of this is going to stereotype of just their garden tractors or your antiques or this. Recognize them all as co-pullers. Yeah. And things will get a lot better quicker.
Yeah. Some of us, including myself, have to get past that. I don't mind a couple garden tractors, but I need to get used to the idea, I guess.
Well, I will say that we do charge the same hook fee for their hooks as we do for the big tractors. And we've even run both sleds at the same time. So one's backing up, the other one's going. And it doesn't cost us any extra time.
Right. What is your typical hook fee out there?
And do you pay since we have good sponsorship, we've kept the hook fees low. It's only $15.
I'm sorry I laugh because I go to places that are $5 or $6. Not all, but some of them.
Buffalo Valley, $23 get you 3 hooks and a membership,
and maybe an ice cream too, which we'll get into. So I think the lowest is up to $6 now, but then others are 20. So East Coast prices maybe, but not New York City. So I pull a lot in North Central PA. There's nothing going on in North Central PA this weekend, maybe because it's Easter weekend. So my traveling partner and I, Greg Peischer, who puts out to the locals here, he puts that schedule out that's getting posted around. We are going to go down to the land of the backwards ice cream bet. And that's at the Potomac Shenandoah Tractor Pulling Club, Jefferson County, West Virginia. I think it's Kearneysville is the name of the town. And to me, it's 2.5 hours that way or 2.5 hours north. So we're going to go down. They've made some rule changes from last year. They really took a critical look at what they were doing. And they had some rules that were against, I'll say, the norm. Like if you had full cut tires, you had to run 6 mile an hour. Well, they've done away with that. So any cut, you can run 4 mile an hour and 6 mile an hour. they streamlined their weight classes. They used to have some, it went by 250 and then it jumped, 750, but now they're all 500-pound increments. They did up their hook fee to $20, but every class is payback. They have kind of a unique payback schedule. If there are 2 tractors in the class, first place will get $20. I think if there's 6 tractors in the class, first place will get $20. So it's not the typical percentage. It's a different scale. The one thing that they did not do was go to a small tire, any kind of small tire for lightweight tractors like a lot of the clubs do. So it is 18.4 across the board. So we're gonna use that Oregon, Washington State formula in a couple of the classes just for fun, just to keep track of it, see how that works out. But like I said, it is the home of the backwards ice cream bet. So if you're not familiar,
how does that work?
All right. So how's that work? So I guess it was dreamed up between Judy Pruitt and a guy by the name of Steve Nicewarner, who they go, pull against each other down there. And the deal is they bet on one class or best 2 out of 3 or whatever. But the twist is if you win, if you have the better hook, you actually have to buy, which to me, that's where the backwards part comes in. So,
Yeah,
but maybe it's win-win, because if you win the pool, you get the bragging rights. And if you lose the pool, at least you get the free ice cream. So I don't know. But this is how Justin comes into this. And I'm sure he remembers we haven't pulled against each other, but last year during the NFL playoffs, I spiked up on the Ravens and put out there on Facebook that anybody wanted to take the Bills, I'll bet you. So we have an ice cream bet because the Bills beat the Ravens. I'm not sure if I'm buying, he's buying, but we're gonna work it out down there at White Pine.
We'll figure it out at White Pine this year.
Yeah. So, but anyway, as far as Saturday goes, if you're not doing anything, look up that pool. They have a club Facebook page, and the details are out there. And just today, getting back to the tire thing, Williams Grove put out an announcement that they have their first pool Saturday, unless I got the date wrong. I think it is this Saturday. But the interesting thing there is you can run 6 mile an hour with top cuts, but if you have full cut tires, you have to run open. I don't want to run open. If I ran open, and it's not a place that's going to draw a lot of tractors in open. So I'd be running against 2 other guys open. I mean, yeah, it's fun to go fast, but what's the point? So, I kind of look for where there are going to be a lot of tractors kind of at the same level. Speaking of which, I'll switch to that real quick. Because Richard said something about I could cover Pennsylvania. Last Saturday was supposed to be the kickoff of this PA Traveling Points series, where we're pulling 6 different venues and 5 count, or you get your 5 best finishes. The first one was supposed to be with the Trout Run Club up near Williamsport on Saturday. We had a lot of rain. They canceled the pool for Saturday. The club moved their pool to Sunday as one of their regular pools, but it was not a PA Traveling Points class. I had a previous commitment, couldn't make it. However, a lot of Traveling Points guys were there, and a lot of the regular poolers were there. And in 3.5 mile an hour, small tire, 45, 5, and 5,500, they had over 20 tractors in each class, which I think is, that's, to me, that's kind of where you want your club to be. Now I guess last year they switched, maybe 2 years ago. 45, 55, and 65 are all payback classes. So I think if you won, I know Terry Brown won 4,500, and then I know Hunter Stake won 5,500. I think 5,000 was an Oliver guy by the name of Steve Smith. I'm sure they cleared, $300 each. So,
while you're at that, Matt, mention Forksville.
Yeah. So speaking of but one last thing, if you've never pulled at Trout Run, and I pulled their points last year, I'm going to try to pull their points again this year. It's 3 hours for me, but I go because they run a pretty good show. They had over 200 hooks Saturday, and there's very good competition. So I like to go because you're not going to get better if you're just, running open against 3 other tractors. That doesn't really help you.
Trout Run is a very nice family run pool.
Yeah.
And occasionally the Star Spangled Banner is done with a bass guitar.
Yes.
A relative plays it.
Jerry's son-in-law, Jerry Quiggle's son-in-law. But back, you mentioned Forksville. So the second stop on this traveling points hook is Forksville, Pennsylvania. I've never pulled there. It was rained out last year. So it's the 17th of May. They're doing a big tire pull on Friday night, not associated with the traveling points. Then they're doing the traveling points classes on Saturday, which are 4,500 and 5,500, 3.5 mile an hour, small tire. We're also doing a small tire bracket class as well. So that should be a good time. And then June, I think we move on to Center Hall, and it just goes on and on. The one thing that they did change this year is that we had a rain out date at the end of the year last year, which we ended up using because we had a lot of rain. This year with the 6 hooks, they have a rain out date after the first 3 hooks and then after the second 3 hooks. So hopefully we'll get 6 hooks in and have 5 of them count. And then I guess the last thing I'll do is mention a guy by the name of Michael L. Maxwell. If you haven't found him on Facebook, he's one of these digital creator, whatever that is. I'm sure JR's in that category, but he does video work and photo work and does a lot of pulling stuff. And he posts a topic of the week based on viewer demand, I'll call it. This one, if you haven't looked at it, you should, because I think it's what should be the rules we have, the standard set of rules or the minimum set of rules we should have that dictate a class. And most of it was, tire speed, tire size, and hitch, which, most of us are at 18 and 20. But I bring that up because on Greg's, when Greg's schedule got out there on the PA, one of the PA calendar pages, a guy from New York, and I forget his name, I could look it up real quick, posted or commented back saying, hey, got a couple pools in August up here in New York, like 2 different county fairs. You ought to look it up and come on up. So I commented, sent him a note, or he sent me a note, and got a hold of the rules. And the rules are pretty much what we're used to, but it's a 20-20 hitch. Now I can't make my hitches slide back to 20 inches. So if I want to go, I got to modify my hitch, which I might do just because I want to go pull in New York and I haven't done it yet. But, you got to ask those questions ahead of time, because if you show up and then you've got a hitch, are you going to pay the fee to run exhibition and then not be able to get into the prize money? So I think
that's the same boat that me and Zach are in, coming all the way from the West, going out to your guys' neck of the woods. We got to be prepared before we leave our yards, before we go out East, to make sure our stuff is legal by your guys' rules as well, if we want to come out and play with you guys, and vice versa if you guys come out West to play with us.
Yeah, and the last thing a couple things on that. I agree, and this is the only motorsport I've ever been involved in, but I'm guessing that, like the other, I'll call them major motorsports, NHRA or NASCAR, it doesn't matter where you go, the rules are all the same, right? Antique tractor pulling. Basics. Yeah, antique tractor pulling isn't there. And one of the comments on the Maxwell page was, the more rules you have, the more pullers you will exclude, which I think is very, very pertinent. And Olin likes to say, well, everybody should dictate what goes on in their sandbox, which I agree, in, classes or whatever. But the more we can consolidate rules, the more people are going to be willing to travel around and try to pull different places, and it should make everybody stronger.
And that's why we do these podcasts, Matt.
Yeah.
So the sandboxes can all kind of see this and see a direction and start assimilating to be more universal, so we can go to each other's tracks and play.
Yeah.
And so all you guys here on the show, you're helping tractor pulling by being on here, discussing tractor pulling, talking about it openly. It helps pullers understand more what's going on and be able to look past their own, what we've been doing for the last 5-10 years scenarios.
Yeah, a lot of the rules have evolved from that, just a group of guys getting together. And I said in my last piece, but one I picked up on, everybody knows what the 11-foot rule is, right? So, but I saw in print the other day that it actually said that the weights couldn't be more than 11 feet. It didn't say anything about the weight bar. Now, I don't know who would build a tractor with a weight bar out front past 11 feet, but if you did, you'd be legal as long as your weights weren't out past 11 feet.
And sometimes that's just as simple as what you use to hold your weight down, an extra piece out front or something.
Right.
And that can get you in trouble at times. How strict that rule is on that 11 foot. And I've seen places where that did come into effect.
Yeah. So anyway, bottom line is, I think the more we talk about unifying the rules as best we can, I think it's going to help all of us. So I'll yield back to you and Richard.
Richard.
All right. It's about time, Matt. We'll go in kind of reverse order and wrap things up. LW, you were last, so you get to go first. I mean, as we would say at a regular meeting, instead, you got anything you want to shoot out for the good of the order, for the good of your club, for the good of tractor pulling in general?
I just think I'm kind of like Matt. I think if we could all get together and just bring in one big set of rules to consolidate everything, it would give people that more option to travel and stuff like that. And I think that's where it's kind of helping out with the way that I'm doing the pool, where it's every class is 50% payback. It makes it's kind of like Matt said. I'll travel over here to chase some money, and rather than not have the competition right here in the backyard. So
it does give you an incentive to reset your tractor up, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I think that's a continued conversation with both changing the rules and right into the turbos versus the 49s and so on and so forth. It's all part of the evolution of keeping clubs alive and keeping the sport that we do alive. So thank you for being on, and thank you for your closing thoughts.
Yes,
so I don't see Carl still here.
Yeah, I'm here.
You get to go next. We're gonna work our way back all the way out west.
So we kind of our club is already kind of doing that. As far as making it so we could get people from farther away to come. We used to only be a top cut tire. Now we've changed that to any cut, just to try to get anyone around. Yeah, thumbs up for sure, right? And a lot of us that have traveled south or anywhere else to pull, we kind of build our tractors so we can go other places, and we look forward to trying to get you guys or whatnot to come our way. So we're really trying to make it uniform so anybody can go anywhere and pull,
I think that's two really big topics that'll be moving forward in all the discussions is unification of rules. The Chrome perspective last show was very much tipping on a conversation of top cut versus full cut, and does it make a difference? Does it not? So it's all, again, part of the same conversation to, as Olin says all the time, hopefully this group keeps tractor pulling alive and well for many, many years and generations to come. That's why most of us do what we do in the first place. We don't want to see it disappear.
I think one of the things else that we need to change, like right now we only have a 3-inch hole rule for your hitch, and I see a lot of places going to that 3.5. So I think
yeah.
Right. I think by next year we're going to change that so it's the same, as everyone else.
That's a good plan.
A very good plan.
But other than that, I think our rules are pretty much the same as the Southern rules. It's trying to make it easy peasy.
You didn't have to get All right, Justin.
So one thing I did message JR, I sent him a couple of photos. A gentleman that Zach and I know really well up here. His name is Bruce Bauman, and he's running a YouTube, Facebook page called Trust the Rust. And lately, all his videos that he's been posting lately is a project that he's been working on called Project R, which is building a Minneapolis Moline R to compete in pulling up here. But he also travels with us to Eastern Washington and basically posts videos of all of the polling there at Moses Lake and at Mark Valentine's place, and also his local polls up in Linden, Washington, by the Canadian border. So if you guys want to see any of the video of the polling we got coming up here next weekend, probably I'd say around Mother's Day weekend, depending on how busy Bruce gets, you might see the first polling video of the season up here believe will be our 3,200-pound bracket class will be the first class that he'll get posted up. And you can go to his YouTube page and his Facebook page and just follow him. He greatly appreciate it because then he can see what pullers are watching the videos from back east. I take those videos and post them on Facebook, and you guys like enjoying watching those because then you guys get to see all the pulling that we do out here and that Zach and I get to do all the time.
I often watch your videos. It's different to watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you see up in Lundgren, they run 2 sleds, but they split the weight. Where at 5,000, they're pulling on that big sled, and 2,500, they pull on a smaller sled. And so like for some of us that bring a tractor, that'll pull both the small sled and the big sled. You're either starting off the big sled right out the gate, and then you have to hop. You have to basically take all your weights off and then hop foot over the other sled. It's like it's a workout, especially when you go up to Lundgren for that 4-day pull up there.
That's tough. That's tough.
But it's tractor pulling.
Yep, it's part of the game.
Thank you for being here as well, Zach. And I'd really love to hear just a little more of, because there's no way that book came. There's a lot of man hours in figuring out everything that's in that book, because
They got 3 books.
well, that's the Bible. The other 3 are just
the yellow one's good too.
Yeah, it took quite a while to put the books together. I will give you that. It's a lot of man hours, a lot of editing and re-editing, and people say, "Oh, when are you going to get more books?" And I said, "I'm working on it. I've been living things in real time here. I've been adding things to it. A lot of that stuff I was talking about with community club and a larger footprint and so forth, that's being written into the next iteration of the Antique Tractor Pull Guide books, and so that's something that's coming."
Well, the neat thing about it is that it's amazing what one individual can often do to help tractor pulling, and what you've done is a part of it. What Jerry does running a podcast platform is another part. Each of you coming on is a part to help tractor pulling. All of you have done a lot for tractor pulling.
and when it comes to that book, maybe we should share the personal side of that book too. Yeah, for any of you that don't know, for almost one full summer, me and Ola both pull Farmall MPAs. Now, you would think you both run the same tractor. If he's running third, I should probably run third. Well, fact is, they're the same tractor, but they're not the same tractor because they don't have the same rear gear, and they don't have the same pinion. So we've actually spent a lot of time in that book going back and forth of, well, this is why this works better for you here, and this is why I run that there instead. So if you think it doesn't matter, it doesn't help. It does.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I found. I've done more with gearing and ground speed work and just tractor setup than I ever have with building really big motors. I mean, I've built big motors, but I've found that the fine tuning, the setup, and the gearing is really key. So thank you. So I appreciate that. Kudos, the compliment. But anyhow,
it does help.
Yeah. The other thing I'll mention is to Matt's comments is that with rules, our club in 2013 adopted USAP rules, and we went to multi-speed pulling, right? And we had a 3-mile-an-hour top cut class, and then added 4, 6, and 8 as modified full cut classes. And it smoothed things out immensely, right? And we've made a few tweaks over the years to that kind of stuff, but in a sense, it worked really, really well for us. And yeah, I'm all on board. If you guys want to create a national set of rules or a common set of rules, we can go just about anywhere. We standardized in the entire Northwest, right? Everybody's running the same rules as us. So that's why, I go up to Washington, to Linden, or to Mark's Pool in Othello or Moses Lake, and and I know the rules, right? And it's just the same. So that works really well. Our own club is Tractor Pullers of Oregon, and we're at tractorpullersoforegon.org. And our first pull is in June. It's on June 14th. It's our Father's Day pull, and so with that, I just want everybody to do that. I do a lot of this work and everything to perpetuate pulling, just like you guys are. I want to get more people involved. I want to get keep tractor pulling alive for the long haul and make sure it sticks around.
Very good.
Very good. thank everybody for being here. And Olin,
Thank you.
I'm good.
you get your own last thoughts.
No, I'm good. I really appreciate everybody coming on and sharing insight of what they do, what they're up to, what they're thinking. Because everybody's exposing themselves to social media by doing it. But I'm glad y'all do, and you're all doing it for the purpose of promoting Poland. Thank you, Jerry. You know what to do now, don't you?
Yes, I'm going to give you two a pat on the back because it takes you two guys to make this show run too. So you're thanking everybody else. Thank yourselves.
Appreciate it.
You two do a good job. So
You know the best part about the Legion video? It doesn't show a drop weight.
I know, but it has been already done already like an hour ago. We're good.
Hour and 11 minutes.
There you go.
all good. It's okay. But I guess approximately another month, roughly, we'll have another
Yep.
show.
Yep.
So
I might be busy planning. We might flex it around a little bit. Okay.
that's fine. Yep.
Right.
Whenever you're ready, we'll get
All
the
right,
word
thank
out on
you.
social media. So we appreciate everybody being here, and thanks, guests. Wide variety of stuff here. It's pretty cool. But I agree on your rules. Good luck. I deal with it with the bigger stuff, so to speak. Man,
Yeah.
it depends on where you go, what the rules are. But a unified set of rules would be awesome
Mhm.
for sure. So, with that said, I guess we'll go ahead and get out of here. Thank everybody again, and we'll see you soon. I guess. I know it's planting season, so keep an eye on social media. We'll let you know when the next show is. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.